What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Four Tires and Fuel. I am your co-host, Steven Cherrick. I am the rear tire changer on the 38 truck for Lane Riggs for Front Row Motorsports.
And I'm John McGee, front tire changer on the 41 truck for Nice Motorsports and the 35 Xfinity car for Joey Gase Motorsports. Steven, it's been a while. It's been a few weeks since we've done a podcast here. 3 weeks, I think. So how's it been? How's everything been since we last talked?
Not bad. I mean, we had those 2 weeks off for the Olympics, and those are now over. And I think the USA got 126 total medals, and
Yeah,
I think 40 of them were gold. And I think we tied with China
yeah.
for the most gold medals. So that's awesome. Rounds of applause for everybody.
I know, yeah, I was super excited. I was like, I actually have time to just hang out and watch TV, and so I like the Olympics because I like watching the sports that I know, like basketball, soccer, stuff like that. Like that's normally on TV, and I like to watch. But I also like watching like these weird sports that I only get to see like once every 4 years. Like to me, that's I don't know. It's like when am I gonna watch? You know,
Olympic breakdancing.
yeah, exactly. That was funny. Yeah. So, um, but yeah, so it was good. I know we both had a vacation during this Olympic break, so that's one of the reasons we didn't have a podcast. But yeah, Stephen, tell us about how your 2 week break went, and if you got into anything exciting.
I mean, it was pretty good. We went to the beach. The wife and kids. We went out to Myrtle Beach and hung out there for a little while. Spent a few days and just kind of relaxing, going to the beach, stuff like that I don't normally get to do during the regular season. And yeah, a lot of time was honestly spent at the racetrack for my son.
Uh huh.
He races quarter midgets, and so we've been trying to get that engine figured out. We had to get it rebuilt and had to break it in and everything like that. So we've been at the track doing a lot of that. And his first race is this weekend at on Saturday. So
Awesome.
hoping the best for that. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it was kind of just a lot of sitting at the house, relaxing, just spending time with the family. Seeing my parents and stuff like that. Just doing stuff that we normally can't do on the weekends because
Yeah.
we're always away.
Yeah, that's the best part, honestly, of the vacation time is just relaxing. Even though I don't know how much of that I did, I went home directly after the Indianapolis race and went right back home. My parents live in Johnson City, Tennessee, like 3 hours away from Charlotte. So hung out there for a couple of days, and then me and my brother did the Smokies. The national park is a couple hours away, so me and my brother did a little camping trip, a little biking trip out there. That was awesome to spend some time with him. He's kind of in the same situation as me, so he plays Division 1 soccer, and his schedule, like once the season starts, it's kind of like NASCAR. There's no real time to do anything until the off season. So we both had one off week, and it was at the same time, so it like worked out really well. And then after that, I went out west. Actually, my best friend from high school lives out in Oregon now. I'd never been out in the Pacific Northwest before, so I flew in, hung out, and first I went to Vancouver, Canada, and that was really cool. I'd never been to Canada before I went. It was all like really cool. A lot of cool stuff to do, a lot of awesome nature, but it was cold. I did not realize it's so cold out there. It was 60 degrees out there as the high. The high was like 63 one day. I was like, what? It's like August.
Come back to Charlotte and it's like 100.
I know. So I didn't pack any like long sleeve clothes. Like, I don't know. I did bad planning, but I just brought short sleeve stuff. I didn't even look at the weather. I was like, yeah, surely it's going to be. So anyway,
Summertime.
yeah. So I was there for 2 days and it was awesome. And then I went down to Oregon and did a little camping trip there. It was amazing. And then we finished the trip off for a day and a half in the Redwood National Park in Northern California, which I'd never been to before. And I would definitely recommend it to everybody. It is like the most insane thing I've ever seen. That like the trees are like huge and they're like 50 feet wide and like 300 feet tall. It's like insane, and they're all over the place. So, anyways, long story short, I was pretty busy over that. Even though it was vacation, I was traveling and busy, and it was. But I was like, I wanted to do these trips, and ended up the only time to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good when we can spend some time with our family, you know, in the midst of the season because we
Yeah,
don't get a lot of opportunities to. So it's always good to hang out with them and spend time with them, and all that stuff. But you also managed to uh, go out and do some more racing.
yeah, just like you, huh? On the off week, still at the racetrack. So yeah, me and our mutual friend Dan Mrack earlier in the year in January did a IMSA race, a Michelin Pilot Challenge race for a team at Daytona. And we kept in contact with the team owner, and he had asked me, to do any races that I could that fit with my schedule and theirs. So there was one that worked at Road Atlanta the first week that we were off. So I went down there Thursday through Sunday. They race BMW M4 in the GT4 program, and I'd never been to Road Atlanta before. Just had driven by it on the way to Atlanta Motor Speedway and stuff, and really awesome track actually. Like, um, yeah, the facilities are really nice there. It's tucked away in a nice it uses a lot of natural elevation, so there's like kind of like mountains around it and all sorts of stuff. It was really really nice. And so yeah, so we had practice on Thursday, qualifying on Friday, and then it was endurance racing. So we had an 8-hour endurance race on Saturday, and then the next day we had a 7-hour endurance race. So those were the longest races I had ever done, for sure. And Saturday went well. Like well, I'll say Thursday and Friday went well. We qualified on pole, which was really awesome. And then we ended up on Saturday. One car had a malfunction, and we only ran about 6.5 of the 8 hours. But the second car ran the full race, and we ended up finishing, I think, in fifth or sixth place out of almost 60 cars, which was good. In the endurance racing, they have multi classes, so there's 3 or 4 different classes, but we finished in sixth overall, and I think in third or fourth in our category, in our class. So that was a lot of fun. I did pit crew stuff there, but they had a tire changer who had been with them for the previous 2 or 3 races that I wasn't able to go to, and so he felt comfortable doing the tires. So that meant I was carrying. I was a tire carrier for the first time ever in my career. And it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. They have different rules there about how to do pit stops. And so, like, trying to kind of change the strategy and see what we could figure out to be most efficient was really cool. Because in NASCAR is pretty much set in stone. Like the way you do pit stops there's not much you can change. It's been pretty made almost as efficient as possible, I would say. So, kind of trying to figure out what would work best was awesome. And yeah, so did pit stops and ran those 2 races, and yeah, had a good time. Ended up paying for my vacation, so that was nice. I was happy for that.
Yeah,
But
there you
yeah,
go.
but that's it. Yeah. So, anyways, and then Stephen, we'll get to you here. Going into Richmond, I know, on that 38 truck, you guys have had a lot of speed this year, but also, some bad luck all the way throughout the season. And was your last chance to get into everybody's last chance to get into the playoffs, as Richmond was the last Truck Series regular season race. And I know you guys brought a really fast truck, and unfortunately didn't get it done. But I know you guys were running competitive all night. So, Steven, if you want to talk a little bit about your race and kind of the mindset for the team going into the weekend at Richmond.
Yeah, I mean, we started well, let me kick it back to IRP, Indianapolis Raceway Park.
Yeah.
We went there and basically Lane's been there before, so they were like, he was super comfortable with it. He knew basically what it was going to be about. He knew, how pit road was, stuff like that. And so we ran really well there. He qualified really like, well, he says really poor, but it was like mid pack. So, and he drove all the way up to the front, and we had really really good stops to keep him up front all night, and he finished fifth there. Or no, yeah, finished fifth there. So it was a top five, another top five on a short track. I think he had like 3 for the season. So going into Richmond, we had a little bit of momentum, even though we had that 2-week break, and they knew they were going to bring a fast truck. So we knew that we needed to be on our best for our side as far as the pit crew side. So practice, I think he was like 10th or 12th fastest in practice. And then they went out for qualifying, and he qualified 5th.
Yeah.
No, he qualified 4th.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
started 4th, and we had pit stall number 2. Raja Karuth was pit stall number 1. He was right in front of us. So we were like, okay, hopefully not wishing bad luck on anybody, but if he goes a lap down, then we kind of have an open in, open out all night long. So, but that didn't happen. And Raja had a decently good truck as well, so he was coming around us all night, so we stopped short all night. But I want to say our first pit stop was just 4 tires,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was like a 14.8, so it was
Nice.
super quick there. Second stop was 4 tires again. I think it was just an air pressure adjustment, and it was like a 14.2. Those super fast pit stops, but like we maintained all night. Like we didn't gain a single spot on pit road. And I was upset, but when you're up in the top 5,
Right.
like you're going against the best of the best on pit road. So
Yeah.
I guess holding your own inside the top 5 is like respectable. So Lane was happy about it, kept him up front all night, and just gave him a shot to win at the end, and lined up 3rd on the final restart with like 8 to go. And he tried to make the top work, but the truck was just way too tight. And I think at one point with like 4 to go, we were like 4 wide for the lead or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I remember watching that.
So we thought we had a chance, but truck was too tight. We finished 5th. Disappointed that we didn't win, but overall still super excited about how the whole night went. And now that the pressure of trying to make the playoffs is out the window, now it's all about just continuing to build on what we have this year and trying to look to Milwaukee and see if we can get a win there.
Yeah, I think you guys have a few more chances to win, definitely, or at the very least run top 5. So, I definitely, even though you didn't make the playoffs, I definitely wouldn't count you guys out in any race really for the rest of the year. But definitely, I know there's a few I'm sure that you have circled on the calendar.
Martinsville, Bristol,
Martinsville, Bristol, exactly. Even Milwaukee too. I mean, that's kind of a track that I think you could do well at too. So, yeah, I mean, it's been so long. I completely forgot about the Indy race weekend. IRP went fine for us. I was with Bailey Kerr in the 41 truck. We ran mid pack all race. We had like good stops, I would say. Nothing crazy. I mean, it was a solid race. If I had to rate it, I'd give it probably like a B+ for us on the pit road. We gained a few spots just because we were in the mid pack. He ran good all night. Eventually, he went one lap down on a long run, and so we were pitting with the lap down trucks. But basically, how that race played out, there was, I think, at one point more trucks on one lap down than there were on the lead lap. So there was still competitive even there. So but yeah, so we ran mid pack there. That was a track that Bailey had done pretty good at in the past when he ran last year, I know. And so yeah, it was a good performance, I think, for everybody. But yeah, Richmond, we qualified 14th, I think, and that was again pretty good for us. Like we were wanting to stay there and just move up and see what we could do. And early in the first stage, he was up into like 11th or 12th, and truck just fell off. The tires fell off. Truck got pretty loose, so came down, did a air pressure adjustment, did 4 tires. And at that point, we came down like 19th, and I think we left like 17th or something. So we gained a few spots, got him back up on pit road, gained him a few spots on pit road. And he was running. And then towards the end of the second stage, he was like, the truck is sounding weird, like something's missing or whatever. So we came down pit road, did a 4-tire stop. It was actually a really solid stop. And then the truck just stalled on him coming out of the pit box, and he was like 3 stalls away, and just the truck was completely dead. So
Dang.
eventually got it fired back up, but we lost a lap there, and then we lost another lap. The guys from Ilmore, the engine manufacturer, went up in the dash and looked, and basically there was an electrical issue that had the kill switch firing when it wasn't supposed to. And so, we went another lap down with that, and that was basically our race. We fought back. We got the wave around, and we ended up actually doing 2 more pit stops, and they were okay, I think. But our pit strategy was so off. I think at one point we were literally the only truck on pit road, or us and one other truck. So we didn't really have anything to gain there on pit road. So at that point, it was just not making any mistakes, getting the wheels tight, and getting them back out there, not lose another lap. So we got back on the wave around to 1 lap down, and we ended up actually being the lead truck on the last truck, the first truck 1 lap down. And so we were really hoping for a caution, because we would have gotten the lucky dog and been on the lead lap, but didn't happen. I thought it would, with how aggressive those guys were racing the last 5 or so laps. But we finished 23rd. I mean, I think we had better speed than that. I think we were probably a 15th place truck, somewhere around there. Pit road was fine. I didn't have the best stop on the last stop. I had a hanger where one lug nut was still on the wheel, and I tried to pull it off and had to go back and buzz it off. But there was only one other truck that came down on pit road with us, so we didn't lose anything there. But still, you always kind of want to have a solid. We would have had a solid night other than that one stop for me personally. So even though it didn't really mean anything, it still, in my head, I always want to do as good as I can, and always want to have a clean, nice, complete night. So that was a little disappointing, but at the end, I think overall it was a pretty good day on the pit road side of things, and it was going to be a good decent night for us until that that electrical issue. So a little disappointing there, but I guess that stuff happens.
Yeah, just look on to Milwaukee and just move on to the next one. I mean, I guess electrical issues, you can't really it's never one thing that you're ever gonna you can't self-inflict that, I guess is what I'm saying, is you can't predict that that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
So.
And an electrical issue too is kind of, it's like if the truck turns on in the shop, they run it on the dyno, everything's running well. You can normally get if there's a mechanical issue, and when it's running through the dyno, running through the gears and stuff like that, or on the shakedown or something like that. But normally an electrical problem, as long as the truck fires and is running well in the dyno, you wouldn't think that, hey, 200 laps or 150 laps in a race, kill switch is going to rattle loose. And, so that was one that, I put it as kind of just unlucky,
Yep.
So, but so that was our Richmond, and that was that.
Yeah. What did let's kind of stay on Richmond for a second. What did you think of the finish for the cup race?
All right, I'm a neutral. Okay, I don't particularly care for any of the 3 drivers involved. I was just kind of a fan watching it, and as a fan, I thought it was awesome. I thought it was hilarious. Yeah, I think I was just like, man, that is like wrecking two cars in the final turn to win. I was like, that was some action right there for sure. Now, if it was one of my drivers who was involved, or one of the team that I work for involved, I would definitely have a different story. I definitely think it was 100% blatant to wreck those guys to try and win. But I mean, at the end of the day, right? Like, he was the fastest car on the track the last 60 laps, 60 to 80 laps, and like he was going to win that race 100% if Ricky Stenhouse didn't blow a tire and end up in the wall. So it was just that was really unlucky there with 3 laps to go.
Is
That
that what happened?
I think
I thought I saw he wrecked the 41, but I didn't know he blew a tire.
I thought something happened. It looked like there was some smoke that happened right before he went into pre. So
Okay.
um, so
Maybe that's what happened. Who
yeah,
knows?
I don't know. I mean, again, but I'm gonna say like Austin Dillon, he was the fastest car on track. He should have won that race, right? But he didn't end up getting, he didn't end up getting a good restart. Logano cleared him, and Logano had that race won on the restart, and Dillon,
Cannonballed his way
realistically,
in there.
exactly. Realistically, he probably does have a chance to win at Daytona. Like everybody has a chance to win at Daytona.
Yep.
But that was his chance to make the playoffs, and he took it in. But yeah, what do you think?
God, I mean, I was watching it with my brother, and I was in awe. And as they came through, like as they took the white flag, and they were coming into turn one, I'm like, no, don't overdrive turn one, overdrive turn 3 and 4, and knock him out of the way.
Yeah,
And then he didn't get a good exit, and he was so far back, and I was like, oh no, he's too far back. And then he just Hail Marys it in there, and I was like, oh my God.
yeah,
And he wrecked him, and then Denny Hamlin was going by, and he wrecked Hamlin, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be good. And yeah,
yeah.
it was wild, and it was probably one of the most egregious things I've ever seen in my life. But
That wouldn't fly on the quarter midget track, would it?
no, that would definitely not fly. I'm glad my son wasn't watching, because I would tell him straight up, "You don't do that. Don't race like that."
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it was crazy. Like even the spotter, I saw the audio. The spotter was telling him to wreck Denny Hamlin, like blatantly on the radio, wreck him, and
Yeah.
like crazy. And I saw Bozy actually, Bozy Tetrovich, our mutual friend on Twitter, pulled up the SMT data, and I
Oh
think
yeah, he's been posting SMT data for like the
yeah,
whole last 2 days.
I think at that point on lap, so the race ended on lap 108. On lap 107, at that point, he hit Hamlin. He was coming straight. He was straightening out of the corner, and his actually steering wheel was like 3 degrees to the right. Uh, and then on that same point on lap 108, it was 30 degrees to the left. So I was like, any regard that's. I saw he went on the podcast, Dale Jr.'s podcast, and was like, I was holding my line, and Hamlin was coming up, and the natural line, and yeah, I did not buy that for sure. So
I mean, I I really thought that the wrecking Joey Logano part, I feel like that was what he needed to do.
yeah,
And then I kind of feel like the wrecking of Denny Hamlin was just a racing thing, because Dylan was still trying to turn left underneath uh Logano and keep his car pointed straight, and Hamlin didn't go into the corner 40 miles an hour faster than he should have, so he made the corner, and the natural curve of the corner on exit pushes him out towards the wall,
right.
as it should, and they kind of just met in the middle, and Denny Hamlin got the worst of that. So yeah, but I just it's what this style of win and you're in
Yeah,
produces.
yeah,
At the end of the day, that's what this is supposed to be about, is like winning is the only thing that matters, so you win at all costs.
yeah. No doubt. And one thing I want to bring up too is like how quickly a race can change, right? So like Austin Dillon's pit crew was probably like for the last after they did that last pit stop, and they saw Dillon, drive by Denny Hamlin for the lead and was a second and a half up with, you know, 30 laps to go and 3 laps to go. He's a second and a half up, and they're like, "We have this
I think
race."
it was actually like 4 seconds
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Like we have this race won, and then all of a sudden that happens, and you're like, "Oh crap! I got to get my stuff on. We might be doing a pit stop to decide the race right now." So like your mindset is like, "We're gonna win. This is amazing," and then, "Oh crap! I gotta do a pit stop against two other cars, two other crews, and whoever comes out first is going to decide who wins this race." And that happened to us when we won with Ross Chastain at Darlington. Ross was like running at the top, I think second place, and we were like, okay, he's catching him, and then caution comes out with 5 to go, and our crew chief's like, tires, we're putting on tires, and they're like, oh, we were like, you're always ready, but in our head, we're like, okay, the race, we're going to see how this race plays out, right? Like, 5 laps to go, we're catching them. So then we were in a point where it's like we had to go up against Ty Majeski's crew, and it was like us versus them to see a pit stop with 5 laps to go, and whoever came out, was going to win the race. And so, that like mentality shift where it's like we won the race, we have 3 laps to go, we're 4 seconds up, we're going to win, and then the caution comes out, and you're like, oh crap, now all the pressure's on me to win this race. So
Yeah, I think between the two of us, you have that experience. I've never had that experience. I got 1 win, and Grant Enfinger dominated that whole race, and pit stops weren't even a factor for us because we pit under the 2 stage breaks and the one in the middle of the race that was under caution, and it was like or the middle of stage 3, and it was under caution. Like, you've had that same experience that those guys just had, and, like, to hear that mindset of, like, you're sitting there and you're like, "Okay, I think we got this. This is great." And then it's like, "Oh my god, we have to do a pit stop, and we're going up against the best of the best to do this."
Right. Yep. And it's like very real possibility that whatever happens in this pit stop is the outcome of the race because there's so few
Yeah.
laps left. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, which is wild. So, but yeah, kudos to those guys. They did a great stop. They kept him out in front, and yeah, and then Logano jumped him on the restart, which and then yeah. So I mean, in the end, like, do I think Austin Dillon deserved to win that race? 100%. He had in the last stage he had the fastest car. Okay.
Yeah.
Did he deserve to win it on that way? No. Like the way the race played out, Logano jumped him. He didn't get a good restart, and he should have, Logano should have won that race. But if you would have asked me who was the best car, I would have probably said Dillon. If that caution didn't come out, Dillon was going to win. So, you know.
So, do you think he should be penalized in any way? Like, it's Tuesday,
Yeah.
and I haven't heard anything about, penalties or anything. I haven't even seen a penalty report yet, so what do you think? Do you think he should
Yeah,
be
I saw
penalized?
Chris tweeted that there's not going to be any penalties released today, and if there are, they're going to be tomorrow morning. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm sure his spotter is going to get penalized or suspended for blatantly telling your driver to wreck somebody. And I wouldn't be surprised. I would be really surprised if Austin Dillon got suspended, but I would not. In fact, I think he's definitely going to get a fine, a big fine, and maybe even a points deduction or something like that for it. I don't think they're going to take away the race win, but maybe worst case scenario for them, they take away the playoff points or they take away, the
Yeah, I mean, I I agree with everything you're saying. I think Spotter's gonna get fined. I think, Austin Dillon's probably gonna get fined for right hook and Denny Hamlin. But I mean, it's so hard to say that, like, it's so hard to take the win because it's a win, and I've never seen NASCAR take a win that wasn't post-race tech related.
right, exactly.
So, I don't think they're gonna take the win. they could do a points penalty, but I mean, it doesn't matter if you don't take the win because now number one, he's in the playoffs, and number two, he was 32nd entering the weekend in points, and now he's 16th when he walks away.
Right.
Like he just gained 16 spots on the points order because he won, and he's in the playoffs. So the worst he can finish is 16th in points.
Right.
Like that's a win all the way around, even if you take everything from him except for the win.
No, and I agree. I mean, like, I think if you were to take away the win, you had to do it immediately after the race. Like, you had to do it that night. Yeah.
Yes.
If you're not going to do it now, it's like we were talking about the Olympics. Like, I don't know if you've heard of all this controversy about Jordan Childs, I think her name is.
Didn't she have like a bronze medal
She
stripped?
had a bronze medal, and then they stripped it because apparently they was some appeal on the scoring, but the U.S. had to do it in a certain amount of time, and they said it was like 4 seconds too late. So it's like 2 weeks after the Olympics or a week after the Olympics, and they come out and say, "No, you got to turn back in your bronze medal." Like, to me, that shouldn't happen. Like, there needs to be a statute of limitations on something, right? Like, if you're gonna tell her, okay, you messed up or something, like, do it that day of the event. It's not like,
At least by the end of the day, you can't wait until the Olympics are over and then be
right.
like, "Oh, by the way, we need that back."
Exactly. No, I agree. But so anyway, so I mean, I feel like that would kind of be the same way with Dylan. Like, I would very seriously be surprised if they took away the win, but definitely some penalties are coming, and maybe even some points deductions or stuff is coming. But
Do you
um,
think Joey Logano is going to get a penalty?
I think he's going to get one for throttling up in pit road. Like, that was a dangerous situation that he created. I mean, should those people have been there on pit road? No. Like, it's VIPs and people without helmets and protective equipment should not have been on pit road when the cars are coming to a stop. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
I mean, I agree 100%. I agree. That crowd of people, I get that it was Austin Dillon's people, but that crowd of people should not have actively been crossing pit road while cars are coming to a stop on
Right.
pit road.
Yeah.
But the other side of it is when the race is over, they're doing burnouts and cars are coming into pit road and whatever, and crew guys are over the wall taking down wall banners, taking
Right.
down overhead signs, cameras, whatever. Like, so it's kind of the same precedent of like, well, the pit crew guys are over there with no helmets on. Some of them have their fire suits down.
Yeah.
Like, we're out there cleaning up, and like it's the same kind of concept of like, hey, these people are out here trying to just get to their dad, brother, uncle, nephew, son, whatever, who just won the race.
Yeah. No.
But no, I definitely think that not Denny Hamlin, he didn't do anything wrong. That Joey Logano should definitely get a fine for that.
Yeah.
And I really think NASCAR needs to sit and reevaluate when and how people get across the pit lane
Right.
after the race to go see the guy that won. Like,
Yeah.
I get the pit crew is gonna, like, obviously the pit crew, road crew, whoever is gonna, like, run to the pit wall and, like, celebrate with their driver. That's normal. I get that. But, like, and they're normally there before the cars come back around.
Right.
So it's like a really bad chess match because it's like you got cars trying to come down pit road, you got crew guys trying to go see their driver that just won, you got family coming across the track that probably shouldn't even be out there.
Yeah.
Um, so it's like how do you control who's allowed to go over there and see the driver and who's not?
Right.
Because like what do you got to say? Like anybody, whoever's in a fire suit can go over there, but whoever's not has to stay behind the wall. Like that's the only way that I could see that changing.
Yeah. No,
But
I
I
agree.
I don't know.
I mean, I agree. I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, like, should we probably be over the wall without any protective equipment? Like, another thing too, I think of is like, right, like when they're making their pit road run at the beginning of the race, everybody's out there without a helmet, without anything, and they're going at full pit road speed, 60 miles an hour
Yeah.
at some tracks. It's like, well, what happens if like something could happen. I'm not saying that it's going to, but something could happen. Some driver tries to pull into his box, or like, try and I know they try and turn the wheel a little bit just to imagine in their head going in there. Say he hooks it or something, or say a driver, hits another one, and then all of a sudden somebody without any gear is, getting hit with a car at 60 miles an hour. So like,
I didn't even think about that. Like that's wild to think about too, because we're talking about after the race, and now you're talking about the start of the race. Like we do the same thing.
No, it's like it's funny because NASCAR is like so serious on during the race your gear. Like they're very, very strict. You have to have your helmet on at all times. You have to have your glove on. You have to have fireproof underwear, fire suit, everything. And then, but it's like before the green flag and after the checkered flag, it's like, you can do whatever. Go out and take all your shit down. No gear, no whatever. And so, yeah, I don't know what the solution is. I think probably the solution is like, don't bring anybody who's non-essential personnel over the wall until everybody is completely stopped and the drivers are all out of their car. Like that would be what I would think about it. Like by non-essential personnel, I mean like anybody who doesn't have anybody who,
card.
is not a road crew or pit crew guy. Like yes, family can wait a minute to get to their guy, or whatever.
Well, even like I think I agree with that too, because I think pit crew, road crew, crew chief, engineers, everybody else, go see your driver. You all work hard. Everybody who has a helping hand in getting that car to victory lane deserves to be out there celebrating with that driver. I get it. Family, friends, moms, dads, children, go to victory lane. That is your time to go celebrate with your son, father, uncle, nephew, whoever.
Yeah.
Like that's your time is in victory lane. That the team gets to celebrate at the start finish line. That's the way I think it should be, is like when that race is over and all the emotions still there, that's when the team needs to be a part of that. Like all the family and friends that came to him at the start finish line, like they shouldn't have been out there to begin with. I feel like just go to victory lane, wait for him there. He'll be there in a minute. Like,
yeah, no, I agree 100%. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think there's probably going to be like with a lot of these kind of infamous NASCAR moments, there's some change that happens because of it, whether for good or for bad. Most of the time, I think it's good changes that come out of these events. So I'm hoping that, at the end of the day, I think safety should be the number one priority, especially for something that could be really preventable. Like if somebody were to get hit by a car at the end of the road and they hopped out when they weren't supposed to, and something like that's just terrible PR, and it puts a driver in a bad situation, puts a team and then whoever that person is all in a bad situation. So yeah.
and you look at it too. Go back to the Chicago street course. They're on the cool down lap going around. Alex Bowman is doing his cool down lap, trying to get back to the start finish line to do his burnout. Bubba Wallace slams him into the wall.
Yeah.
On the cool down lap. He got, I don't remember how much the fine was, but I think it was like a $50,000 fine for running into Alex Bowman on the cool down lap, because Alex Bowman could have had his seatbelts undone or his Hans device disconnected or whatever. And then, we got NASCAR officials with no helmets on. We got pit crew guys with no helmets on. We got family with no fire suit, no safety gear, no nothing, trying to cross the racetrack at the end of the race. Like, I understand you want to talk about the safety of the drivers, the safety of the teams and everything, but you need to draw the line somewhere. If you're over the pit wall, whether it's anytime cars are on the track, while the racetrack is considered hot, when cars are on the racetrack, that is when you need to have full safety gear. Gloves, shoes, Nomex, fire suit, helmet, head sock, all of it, because anything can happen.
Yeah.
And it showed at Richmond that anything could happen. Austin Dillon wrecks 22. 22's pissed off. He's coming down pit road, driving like an a-hole. And next thing you know, somebody gets hit. What are you going to do then? It's
Right,
already too late. Like you gotta stop it before it gets to
right,
that point.
right. Well, and another thing too is like, yeah, tempers flare at the end of the race, right? Like, how many times have I seen kind of fights or post race kind of scrums happen? Like, I was right in front of the race at Martinsville where Ty Gibbs punched Sam Mayer in the face, right? So it's like that stuff happens if you remove outside. Not saying that people outside agitators, let's put them, are gonna make the situation worse, but they could, like, or it could prevent, you know, maybe let's say this, like a driver, it was a super hot race, the driver is overheating, and then all of a sudden there's everybody and their brother who has a pass for the day is out on the track. Well, now emergency services takes a minute longer to get to them or something like that, or
Yeah.
like I said, there's a fight and then everybody tries to rush in and join it. It's like, well, then it just makes the situation way worse. So, yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that like we don't allow people over the wall before the race while the cars are moving. We shouldn't allow them after the race until all the drivers are out of the car. And you know, I think it's pretty easy to monitor that. Like, and just think that's a. I mean, that seems fair to me. So
Yeah, because I mean, if you watch the onboard that was shown or that was supplied, like half the officials don't have helmets on.
right,
And then the one official that was screaming at Joey Logano to chill out, he didn't even have a fire suit on.
right, yeah, exactly, exactly. No,
So
and
it's
here's
like,
another thing too. Like Joey was, it was a stupid move for him to do that, and he might say, "Oh well, I knew exactly what I was doing. I was going to get close to him to send a message, but I wasn't going to hit anybody." Well, it's like you don't know how everybody's going to react to that. You don't know. Like there was a crowd of like 15 people deep. You don't know if the person at the end of the row can't see the car, and they put their head out, and you don't see them either, and then you end up hitting them, even though you so it's like he just shouldn't have done that, and he should get fined for that for sure. But you
yeah,
also
and I know like he there was no malicious intent
no,
as
he
far
was
as like trying to run anybody over, but like I know he feels like an idiot for doing it right now, but I mean, it's already done.
right
And unfortunately, somebody's got to be used as the example for this. And I think NASCAR needs to take a step back and look at how they police who goes over the wall at what time when the race is over.
for sure. No, I agree with that. So yeah. Well, do you want to switch gears a little bit? We'll talk about this upcoming week. Um,
Yeah,
Mich-
man, we got Michigan.
Michigan. Um, cool track for me personally. Like,
I love Michigan.
yeah, I think it's an awesome track. Probably the fastest speeds, maybe the fastest speeds of the year. I mean, they don't run restrictor plates there, so you can really get cooking into turn one and turn three. Um, I mean, I think it's an awesome track. Pit road is big and pretty straightforward, and yeah, the track. I like it. It's a cool track. I don't know. I mean, it seems like
Yeah, I mean it's a high draft track. So
right,
you get those draft trains, you get the snaking down the backstretch when trying to break the draft. Um, I think pit road speed's only like 45 miles an hour for how fast it actually is, which is whatever. But yeah, I mean it's got decent sized boxes. There's no curvature to it, no nothing. It's very straightforward. Um, and honestly, I think the best part is victory lane's like 15 feet in front of you whenever you if you win the race.
I'm not going to be there this weekend, but I'm not going to be. I don't think I'm going to be taking this victory lane unless, but good to know in the future if I do end up being there. But I mean, it's cool. I mean, I think it's a cool track I've had to do. It's also a track pretty aero dependent, so
Yes.
they're definitely looking to get the splitter if they can get a little lower. If it's hitting, they'll add. So I've had to take Packers out before in the front at Michigan. We've had to do some because there's such high speeds as well. If the car's not on, making adjustments is pretty important there. It's not like Daytona where you're turning the wheel like this full throttle, and it doesn't matter if you're loose or tight, whatever. But Michigan, there is um, you know some some wheel that takes getting into those corners 1 and 3. So yeah, it's a track that the pit crew can play a big advantage getting adjustments done, or even at the same time, like track. It is a track position track. I'm going to say. I mean, not not as much maybe as some of the short tracks where there's only one lane, but I mean, if you get a penalty and you have to go up to the back of the pack, that can definitely ruin your day for sure. So
Yeah, I think that's one of the things too that like everybody can look forward to is like when they go down in turn 1 and turn 3, you're gonna see cars all over the racetrack. You're gonna see cars at the wall, you're gonna see cars at the bottom, you're gonna see, you know,
yeah,
3, 4, 5 lanes wide. You can run pretty much wherever you want. Wherever there's not a car, there's gonna be a car because you're trying to get as much air on the nose as you can to try and help that thing turn. So, yeah, I mean, that's why I love Michigan. It's just they go into the turn and they basically fan out
right.
for every line, and it's like you don't know who's running where, and then when they all come off the corner, they're right back in a straight line again, or they're side by side, they're 3 wide, 4 wide. I mean, you've seen it all there.
Yeah, no, it's a great track. I really like it, and there is a decent amount of tire wear there, if I remember correctly. It's not like
I think so.
yeah. So I mean, most likely going to be four. I would be surprised if people took 2 tires. Maybe if there was a caution late in the race, right after a team took 4, maybe 20 laps before or something. But basically, I would assume 95% of the pit stops are going to be 4 tires this weekend. And yeah, I mean it's the facility is good. I like the I don't know. It's kind of like there's um like a fence right behind pit row, and there's a bunch of like fans that can get back in there. So like I remember last year a bunch of people were talking and asking questions and all sort of stuff. So like it had a lot of fan interaction because they can get so close to pit road
Yeah.
without having like a hot pass. So yeah, I like it. I mean, I think it's cool. I think it's a cool place. So
Yeah, I don't think I've never had a bad experience going to, Michigan as far as, like, facility-wise, like, everything's usually pretty much right there.
yeah,
The garage stalls aren't too far away from pit road. Um, there's multiple entrances to get to pit road, so even if you gotta, like, pull your box, like, you're down in stall, like, 30 or whatever, you can just go down the fence line and then cross over into pit road, and you don't have to fight with all the people that are already on pit road, so
and you can pull. You can park like really close to the haulers, right inside the track. Like we parked like right, like right there, which is great if I remember correctly last year. So yeah, I
yeah,
was
that's the thing too, is there always plenty of parking at
yeah,
Michigan.
yeah, for
I
sure.
hate them tracks where you gotta park outside the track.
I agree. And like around it is nice. It's like rolling hills. It kind of reminds me a little bit of New Hampshire, but New Hampshire is like in the middle of nowhere. Michigan, at least, is like kind of it's it is kind of in a more isolated area, but it looks nice. It's like sometimes I'm like, oh, I would go here as a fan because there's stuff to do. It looks like there's like I would go camping here. I'd hang out, tailgate,
I bet
Michigan
camping there would be a lot of fun.
for sure. I think so. So yeah. One thing I did want to ask too. Um, what do you think about some of these rumors that are coming out about maybe the potential 2025 schedule? Have you heard anything about it, or what do you think?
I I've seen a couple people post, like, the fake schedule where it's got, like, the Clash at Bowman Gray, um, but I did hear a couple things
Uh,
about some truck races, like the return of Rockingham.
yeah, I've heard that too. That's gonna be awesome. If that is true, that's gonna be awesome.
I've also heard a rumor that the trucks are not racing at Portland. No, they don't race at Portland. They're not
Excellent.
racing at,
Coda.
they're not racing at Coda. They're going to Watkins Glen instead.
I heard they're going to Lime Rock.
And I've also heard they're going to Lime Rock, and I
Lime
wanna
Rock.
be there to go to Lime Rock.
Yeah, Lime Rock would be wild. I've watched the IMSA race there. It looks like a crazy track.
Dude,
Uh,
Lime Rock has
super
been one of
narrow.
my favorite racetracks in the entire world,
Yeah.
and if I get to pit there, I am gonna be ecstatic.
Yeah, so it's just the schedule I saw was the same weekend as like Xfinity and Cup are in Atlanta, but I think it'll be the same situation as like we do like Daytona and Milwaukee this year, for example. Like they'll have it on a different day, and yeah, the travel will kind of suck, but I
It will
hope
be worth it.
I hope that it would because I'm really excited to go to Lime Rock too. That would be an awesome track. Yeah, that would be sweet. And
Yeah.
Rockingham is super, super like. So what I've heard is there's going to be one off week for the Cup Series in Easter weekend, but that Truck, Xfinity, and ARCA are going to go to Rockingham that weekend, Easter weekend. So that kind of stinks for us. That means that we're not going to get a week off the whole year. But I would be totally fine to go to Rockingham. Like that would be an amazing. Like that's one of the tracks I like.
Yeah. If we get to go to Rockingham for Truck and Xfinity, that would be awesome. Because I did back in 2013, I did a late model race there. I think it was the last year the trucks ran at Rockingham. I pit road crewed, whatever you want to call it, for a late model team. And, we raced against a couple of truck drivers because the truck were there at the same weekend. And it was it was where I got my first win. And it was, our car was on rails and we were the only one that could break away from the pack. And like when you're standing there on pit road and you're looking at God, I think it's like 34 degrees of banking and the cars are coming past you in the middle of the turn and they're dead sideways going as fast as they can trying to hug the bottom. Like it is wild, dude.
Yeah, I
Like,
bet.
oh man.
Now I've seen you race there on iRacing. It looks like a fun track to drive too. Like it looks sweet.
Well, the iRacing one is very fun, yes. But they repaved it.
Yeah, they did.
So I would love to race it on the repave.
Yeah, I bet it's fast. I bet it's a lot of fun. I mean, yeah, I think the drivers are going to enjoy it. I think fans are going to enjoy it, and I think most of all, like, I mean, for our perspective, I think I would love to pit there. Like that.
Yeah. That place is going to be packed for
Historic,
Truck and Xfinity.
for sure, for sure. So, well, and I saw somebody complaining. They're like, "Well, we don't need another track there. Just think about how many there are." And I was like, "But yeah, but like that's where all the race fans are, is in that area. So that makes sense why there's a lot of tracks there. If you put a track, I don't know, it's like just because you put a track in LA, like I did the Clash this year, there wasn't anybody there. It doesn't mean that there's going to be people there. Like put it
Yeah.
where the race fans are, and they'll come. So
Exactly.
the only
Yeah.
thing, go ahead.
I think if we stay, I mean, it's hard to say if you stay in the southeast, but there's just so many tracks in this area. Like it's you could go to Hickory, you could go to Rockingham, you could go to Charlotte, you could go to
Wilkesboro.
North Wilkesboro, like
Yeah.
Darlington is close enough. Like they're all so close that it just makes sense to go to a mall.
No. And yeah, so I agree. I'm if and so I've heard about the potential Mexico City race too.
I did hear about that. I don't know how excited and or true that is.
I've heard the reason why the schedule isn't getting released is because they're still trying to figure out if they're gonna do Mexico City, if they can make it work.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool personally. I think it would be sick to race at the Formula One track there. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of logistics that go into it. Like it's pretty expensive to fly there. People need passports, all that sort of stuff, So I would like
Yeah.
to see, but
Yeah, no, I would definitely love to be there and to participate in it and everything. But I mean, I don't know.
yeah,
It is what it is.
I'd also like to go and do the race at Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal. Like that would be awesome too. I think. Yeah.
Dude, the last race there was wild that the Xfinity Series had, where Robbie Gordon got disqualified and he still stayed on the track and he wrecked Marcus Ambrose, and I think Kevin Harvick was the one that won the race, and there was like 6 guys doing burnouts on the front stretch, and like you're never gonna top that race. But yes, I would like to go there and race at that track.
The only thing I wish, and this schedule is awesome. Like if we go to Lime Rock, if we go to Mexico City, if we do Rockham, like all three of those things I'm gonna be super excited for. One thing, and I have family here. I think it'd be cool. I wish we went back to Kentucky. Like I think with this package, I think Kentucky would be an awesome track to run. The mile and a halfs are like the best on the next gen cars, and I mean Xfinity runs good everywhere. Honestly, I'd love
Xfinity is the most exciting race of the weekend.
I'd love to see him go to Kentucky. But
I would too. I don't know why Kentucky. Like I get why Kentucky was taken off the schedule, but with how exciting the mile and a halves have been, like you said, with this car, I think Kentucky needs to make a comeback.
yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, that would be that might be wishful thinking. But I don't know. I mean, it's only been off the schedule 3 years. It's not like it's going to take work to get it back up in shape like it would Rockingham or North Wilkesboro. I know they put a lot of money into those tracks to get them back ready. So I'd love to see him run at at Kentucky. But either way, it's like I think we need to go to more tracks. Like I don't think we need to go to Kansas twice.
I don't think any track should have 2 races.
I'm gonna say I think there's probably have NASCAR pick like 5 tracks, 5 crown jewels. Martinsville, Bristol, Darlington, Charlotte, and then maybe either Talladega or Daytona. Run twice there. Like pick 5 tracks and run those. But like we don't need to go to Vegas twice. We don't. If your track, I don't think Phoenix should go. If Phoenix has the championship, I don't think you should go there earlier in the season. Like I think
Yeah.
everything should
I
prepare.
I don't think Phoenix should be the championship race,
I
but
agree. I agree either. But, like, I had the same way. I was like, yeah, I mean, if you take away a Vegas race, if you take away a Phoenix race, if you take away a Kansas race and a Richmond race, that's 4 races that just pop up on this. That's 4 slots that you have on the schedule right there. And I'd like to see some more variety personally, but I get it.
yeah, I mean, I would like to see the more variety. I'd like to see, if you don't race it at certain tracks twice a year, then it opens up the line for smaller tracks or even more tracks to make an appearance on the national schedule of like a Bowman Gray or like
Yeah,
just think of any local short track that's near you and you could potentially have it on the schedule because we have to race it so many races a year. So we got to fill the slots.
for sure. Well, even if you want to talk about saving money, like it's just gotten so expensive with travel and everything. Like, if you want to save money, don't race at Phoenix twice, don't race at Kansas twice, race at Rockingham and Kentucky instead, and that saves travel. That
Yeah.
saves that saves a lot of money right there. Just driving in a short flight to Kentucky instead of going all the way across the United States and fuel and all that stuff. So I don't know. But if the rumors are true, I'll be pretty happy with the schedule. I think it'd be cool for sure. A lot of new tracks and yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I did hear also that the Talladega has been moved to decide a Final Four
Yeah,
spot.
that's gonna be wild. If that happens, that's gonna be crazy. Well, I don't know. I mean, like has been, and I think is this year too, the cutoff for the playoffs, like the last race before the playoffs. Like,
With the Olympic break, it makes it to where it's the race before the cutoff. Darlington is actually the
yeah,
race
yeah,
for the cutoff. But yes, Daytona is always the cutoff race, and it makes it so much more exciting.
I agree. I mean, I love plate racing and I love short track racing. Those are my 2 favorites. But I mean, even with the next gen, the intermediates have been amazing. So
Yeah.
um, I don't know. There's something about plate racing that's exciting to me.
No, dude, I love it. It's my favorite style of racing.
It's amazing. There's nothing else like it in the world. There's nowhere else where 40 cars are within 2 seconds of each other.
Yeah, inches away from each other, 3 wide, 4 wide,
The whole race.
200 miles an hour. Yeah, it's crazy.
So I love it. So, well, man, we covered a lot, I think. I know it's
Yeah,
been a while.
hopefully we got everybody up to speed,
Yeah.
and hopefully you guys weren't too upset with us for not recording for a couple weeks. We had a lot of stuff going on, but we're getting back on track,
Yeah.
and yeah.
We're going to be much more regular here, once a week, getting back to the swing of things here. So stay tuned, and we'll definitely be pumping them out. We want to do them once a week, you know, for the rest of the year. So that's the plan for us, and so stay tuned in the future. We'll have one coming up shortly. And yeah, anything else,
Yeah.
Steve?
No, Johnny and I got some good things planned coming down the pipeline, and
Yeah.
hopefully you guys are enjoying it, because we definitely enjoy
Yeah,
giving you all the information we can and all the stuff that we can give you for it. So,
no doubt.
but
All right.
yeah, we're gonna go on to Michigan, and good luck out there, Johnny. And we're gonna see what we can come back with. And I think after Michigan, oh yeah, we got the Daytona, Milwaukee.
Yeah,
So
weird week. So we'll have two tracks to talk about.
yeah, completely different style racetracks to talk about.
Exactly. Yep. Awesome. Well, Steven, we'll look forward to seeing you here soon. And yeah, we'll have a exciting show for you guys next week.
Yeah, you too, man. I'll see you sometime this weekend, and yeah, we'll bring you all the action, guys. Yep. Till next time, you guys be good.